next session is with our own students. I know நம்ம நிறைய பேருக்கு நிறைய கேள்விகள் இருக்கும். நிறைய நமக்கு பசங்க வந்து காலேஜ்ல படிக்கிறதுக்கு ரெடி ஆயிட்டு இருப்பாங்க, ஹை ஸ்கூல்ல இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ கொஸ்டின்ஸ் வந்து எக்கச்சக்கமா இருக்கும். ஸோ இன்னைக்கு வந்து ஒரு கிக் ஸ்டார்ட் செஷன் தான். ஸோ இந்த வருஷம் வந்து கண்டிப்பா நம்ம வந்து ஹை ஸ்கூல் நம்ம கிட்டே படிச்ச பசங்க காலேஜ் பசங்களை வச்சு ஒரு வெபினார் மாதிரி பண்ணலான் இருக்கோம். ஸோ எனி கைண்ட் ஆஃப் கொஸ்டின்ஸ் இஃப் யூ ஹியர் தி ஆன்சர்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் தம் டைரக்ட்லி அது ரொம்ப ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும். ஸோ அந்த செஷனை வந்து இந்த வருஷம் கண்டிப்பா பண்ண போறோம். ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம கூட வந்து ஜூம் கால்ல ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருக்கிறது அத்வைத், அனீஷ் அண்ட் இன் பர்சனா வந்து தீப்தி வந்திருக்காங்க. வாங்க தீப்தி. ஸோ நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு சின்ன இவங்களுக்கான பயோ கொடுத்துட்றேன். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அனீஷ் சுவாமிநாதன். He is a junior at Johns Hopkins University studying molecular and cellular biology and political science on a pre-med track. He graduated from MNTS in 2023. ஒரு bilingual seal student அவர் என் கிளாஸ்லயும் இருந்தாரு. So I'm so happy to see him flourish and fly in flying colors. அதுக்கப்புறம் he attended school since 2012. இங்கே தான் படிச்சுட்டு ஜான்ஸ் ஹாப்கின்ஸ்ல இருக்காரு இப்போ. Welcome to the session, Anish. Advait Sridhar. Advait graduated from the University of Minnesota Twin Cities in 2025, where he studied biochemistry. He is currently a research associate at the Broad Institute at MIT and Harvard, where he studies the genetic basis of neurological and neurodegenerative disorders. So Lakshmi Sonangalia, so he is actually getting into research and doing some research work which will be really helpful for lot of neurological related issues. That's great work. He'll be starting medical school this fall. Advait also attained bilingual seal from MNTS Tamil School, and I was teaching him, and I think there are a lot of teachers who taught him. So welcome to the session, Advait. Deepthi Pillai. She's a sophomore at George Washington University studying political science and international business with a minor in fine arts. She has held multiple internships in college and participated in the US Senate Youth Program in high school. Deepthi looks forward to answering professional, academic and extracurricular questions relating to the field of public policy. So we welcome our young generation. ஒரு கைத்தட்டலோட அவங்களை வெல்கம் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ இது ஒரு பேனல் டிஸ்கஷன் மாதிரி தான். எங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்ச காமனா வந்து நமக்குள்ள இருக்கிற கொஸ்டின்ஸை நாங்க கேட்க போறோம். ஸோ ஒருத்தரும் அவங்க வந்து ஆன்சர் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஐ நோ நமக்குள்ள நிறைய கொஸ்டின்ஸ் இருக்கும், பட் லெட்ஸ் ஹோல்ட் ஆன். திஸ் இஸ் ஜஸ்ட் a kickstart. Like I said, we will do a webinar. Okay, 1 or 2 questions will open the floor, but for today it is just a kickstart.
Sure. So I would start with Advait. Advait, உங்களுக்கான கொஸ்டின் இது. ஒரு எல்லாருக்கும் சில பேருக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்கலாம், சில பேருக்கு இது டவுட்ஸா கூட இருக்கலாம். அதனால கிளாரிஃபை பண்றதுக்காக எனக்கு இது தெரியாதுன்றதுக்காக கேட்கிறேன். ஒரு காமன் அப்ளிகேஷன், டைம் லைன், எஸ்ஏஸ், ரெக்கமெண்டேஷன், அது வந்து எப்போ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணணும்? How to stay on track with the deadlines? What strategies will help students prepare for and writing compelling common app essays? அதெல்லாம் எப்படி பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறது உங்களுடைய அனுபவத்தை பகிர்ந்துக்குங்க. அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு பேசுறேன்.
Thank you, Nanji, எங்களை இன்வைட் பண்ணதுக்கு. So in terms of the common application, usually senior year முன்னாடி ஆரம்பிக்கணும். So at the end of your junior year in high school, and at the end of 11th grade, you can start planning your common application. So the application, the main you'll have a couple of essays. In the essays, so the first kind is a personal statement. The personal statement is something that gets sent to every college you apply to. And the second is a school-specific essay. This changes for each school. So if you know what schools you want to apply to, you can prepare in advance And this is something you should start early because preparation and iterations in your writing are key to having good essays, and these are what will really set the basis for what the admissions committees read. So the essays are some of the key parts. On top of it, you also have extracurricular activities that you're asked to describe. So also work on writing those. Those have smaller descriptions, but should also be well polished. The rest of the application, you can sort of fill out quickly a lot of the biographical information, but this is something that you should start thinking about, start talking about if you're applying for college by the end of your junior year.
Thank you, Advait. He just gave an overview about the application process. Next, Anish, the college, நம்ம choose பண்ணும்போது there are a lot of categories, right? How do safety, match and reach schools differ, and what is the ideal balance when building a college list?
Hello, vanakkam. Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Priyanti, for inviting me. I think for choosing a college list, making a college list, there's sort of three options that you can place any college into. The first option is what you would call safety schools. So safety schools are schools that you think that you have a good chance of getting into. The second option is sort of the match or target schools. So these are schools in which your grades and your test scores are sort of within their median. So you have a 50-50 chance of getting in. And then the third option for a school is sort of your reach, or schools that are harder to get into, but you still may have a chance of getting into. So these would be like maybe 10 to 20% of probably getting into versus 50 to 50%. When making a list, you want to be pragmatic into what you think you can get into and what schools you want to get into. So that's why college admissions officers, when they say you can target around, maybe if you're applying to say 10 to 12 schools, as a ballpark number, you can choose maybe 3 to 4 schools that are within your target range. And then maybe 2 schools that are safety, 2 to 3 schools that are safety schools, and 2 to 3 schools that are sort of your more reach schools. Some students often may apply to even more than 10 to 12 schools. I know I did that. I know many others probably did that. Maybe like if you applied to 20 schools or maybe even 23 schools, sort of your higher end of how many schools you apply to, that number would just enlarge in a little bit. But you always want to make sure that you choose schools that you're applying to from both your safety range, your target range, and then your reach range, so that at the end of the day, when the application process goes through, you'll at least have a guaranteed acceptance. If you applied only to those reach schools, it's very hard to tell. You know, the chances are very slim, so you want to maximize your chance. So I would say focus on applying most to those target schools, and then also less so focus on those reach and safety schools. But you want to apply most of your schools should be falling within that target or match range.
Thank you, Anish. So I would ask the same question with Deepthi. How did you list out your colleges? Like, how did you prioritize that?
Yeah, thank you. I would say I would go off of that. I think it's smart to do a good amount of target and then have a little bit for reach as well as safety schools. But I also think it's really important to consider what schools you would truly enjoy being at when you're making this list, especially if you're applying to a ton. There's so many universities out there, so I know during my process, I was really considerate of what schools I could really see myself thriving in the future, both locationally in terms of professional opportunities. That's what brought me to DC, especially since I'm studying public policy. I was most interested in attending a school where I would be able to have these professional opportunities during my time there. So I would say be considerate of that in addition to having this list in mind of where it's going to be smartest for you to apply. Also be considerate of where you would truly enjoy being and what's going to be most advantageous for you, especially post-grad.
Also on early decision, I just wanted to ask about early decision. How can it influence a student's overall college admission strategy?
Yeah, so early admission, it's getting more and more popular, I would say, especially early decision. Now there's 2 different rounds that you can pursue as a senior, and there's also like other forms of early application processes. I would say if there is a school in mind that you are really interested in, it can only help to do so. For me personally, I didn't have a school in mind that I was absolutely ready to commit to, so I didn't end up applying early decision anywhere. However, I did do EA, which is non-binding, which means you find out your decision early, but you don't have to commit to going there. But if there is a school in mind that you know that you would really enjoy going to, I highly recommend doing this because it can greatly improve your ability of getting into the university. More likely than not, these are the applications that are getting the most attention. And also, like, when they're looking at it, it's showing that you have commitment to this university and care a lot, so it can improve your chances.
Thank you, Dipti. I would ask Advait, what was your take on that one? I think you are getting prepared for the med school, right? So what's your strategy?
Yeah, for early admissions. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the medical school admissions decision process is a little different for, in terms of the undergrad process. I'll also add one thing to consider is if you're accepted early decision, you're committed to going to that school. So before you apply early decision, you should think through that commitment very carefully, both in terms of if you like the school, the fit, as well as the financial commitment that entails. So it can definitely be advantageous in terms of getting your foot in the door and being accepted, but it's also a major commitment. That's a thing to be careful about.
Thank you. So now coming to the extracurriculars and volunteering, I know a lot of students does that. And Dipti, we heard your name all over the place in Minnetonka. So can you say extracurriculars and volunteering, in what ways does it help? In what ways do extracurricular activities and volunteer experiences strengthen a student's college application and demonstrate functional growth?
Yeah, I can start and then they can add on too. But I would say from the mind of the college admissions, when they're looking at all of these applicants, it's easy to see the stats of each person. And so I would say extracurriculars is how you really stand out in terms of that application. So standing out beyond just the numbers that you show, being involved in other commitments outside of school is really important. I would say this means clubs, but also, for example, like Mamasangam, like that's something really impressive to have on an application, as well as other scholarships. I highly recommend pursuing that when you're in high school. And there's lots of programs that I feel like people aren't informed of when you first start. So I would say a really big thing is researching that early on. I know for me, the US Senate Youth Program that I had mentioned earlier, that was something I researched early on in high school. And I was looking for opportunities for students interested in political science. And this was a scholarship opportunity, and they gave me $10,000 for college. And I was also able to include that on my application because it was something interesting to include that made me stand out. So I would say extracurriculars in terms of clubs is super important to show your involvement. And you want the college admissions officer to kind of be rooting for you, like to see this applicant and be excited about their story and all the things that they're involved in. So that goes into clubs, but then also scholarship activities, as well as any other like work experiences or anything else that's important for them to consider in terms of who you are as a person. That all goes under extracurriculars.
That's a great answer. Anish, how about you? Can you share your experience?
Yeah, I think extracurricular experiences and volunteering opportunities that you partake in high school is sort of what is going to set you apart from the vast majority of students who are going to be applying to the same school as you. This is especially true if you're applying to more selective schools. Maybe it's like a top 20 school or a top 50 school. Everyone who's applying to those range of selective schools are going to have good grades and good test scores. So if you want to make sure that you have the strongest chance of getting into a school that you really want to go to, you need to make sure that your extracurriculars tell us something about you, something about your passion, what motivates you, what drives you, who you are as a person. Admissions officers want to know who you are beyond the paper, beyond the test scores, beyond the numbers, right? They want to know who you are as a person, that more humanistic element of who you are. So extracurricular opportunities that you're involved in, volunteer services that you partake in, can really show that aspect of you. It makes your application a bit more colorful in that sense. It tells the admissions officer more about who you are. And it also is a chance for you to make yourself unique, right? What makes you unique? Why should colleges select you? Who you are as an individual person can really shine through the extracurricular activities and the volunteer services that you partake in and decide to disclose on your application. So I think that that's really where you want to stand out. You want to stand out in that extracurricular and volunteer services section of your application. And that's, if you're aiming for those very selective schools, like that's going to be your make or break basically.
Thank you. So Advait, நம்மளுடைய MNTS தமிழ் பள்ளியிலையும் நீங்க பைலிங்குவல் சீல்லாம் வாங்குனீங்க இல்லையா? உங்களுக்கு எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கரிக்குலர்ஸ் எப்படி ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுச்சு, அந்த பைலிங்குவல் சீல் எப்படி ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுச்சு, அதை பத்தி சொல்லுங்க.
Yeah, could you say that last part again? Your voice cut out on Zoom.
Yeah, so I would like to hear from you on the extracurricular activities. How did it help? And also MNTS தமிழ் பள்ளியில நீங்க பைலிங்குவல் சீல் வாங்குனீங்க இல்லையா? அது எப்படி ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுச்சு, அதை பத்தி சொல்லுங்க.
Yeah, so in terms of extracurricular activities, broadly speaking, you want to present as a well-rounded applicant, but also someone who has a niche that they can fill. So for instance, maybe you want to be like, you want to study something STEM related. It's always good to have volunteering, meaningful volunteering, some kind of leadership, some kind of athletic involvement, but it's also important that you showcase your proficiency and interest in your intended course of study. So for instance, if you wanted to do like biology, you might engage in biology research in high school, or you might found a biology club at your school. And so these are ways that you can demonstrate a professional commitment to what you're doing, as well as stand out. And so definitely don't be afraid to create something new or start something new for your extracurricular, and seek out things like professional experiences or internships as much as you can. For the Minnesota Dental School, I think that was a really meaningful part of my application. It definitely helps showcase your culture, your commitment to language, and it's something that you have a very high ceiling for to talk about in a way that's powerful, and a way that underscores the community of the Minnesota Dental School. And so I think it's something that you should highlight, both to show your language proficiency, but on top of that, all the other ways that MNTS programming has maybe shaped you, or ways you've been involved with the MNTS community.
Great, such a great inspiring to hear from you. Also, DP, I would like to ask a question to you. நீங்க பிரசிடென்ட் எல்லாம் மீட் பண்ணதா கேள்விப்பட்டேன். அது என்ன ப்ரோக்ராமா, எப்படி மீட் பண்ணீங்க, சொல்லுங்க.
So the program I mentioned earlier, the Senate Youth Program, it's a program in which 2 students from every single state are chosen to go to Washington Week. So they provide a $10,000 college scholarship, and in addition to that, they fly you out to DC for 1 week during your junior year. During that week, they have all these, it's for students that are interested in public service and public policy. So there's a variety of speakers that you go and you learn from. And so some of the ones that we got to meet President Biden, because I went in 2024. So I got to meet President Biden after the State of the Union address in the White House. And we got to meet Supreme Court Justice Kagan and Pete Buttigieg, like a bunch of different really impressive people. Secretary of State at the time was Blinken. And they spoke to us and we got to ask questions. And it was kind of funny because it's a bunch of 18-year-olds around DC just getting to go into these really cool places and learn a lot. But this just goes to show how many programs are out there for high school students, and these opportunities are available. You just might have to put in a little bit more research to find them, but there's plenty of stuff like this where they're really hoping to get students interested, especially in the field of public service. I feel like it's decreasing the amount of people that are interested in it, so they're really excited about students that are passionate about it. Yeah, and I'm more than happy to help anyone interested in applying, so.
That's great. Very inspirational, all 3 of you. Thank you so much. யாருக்காவது questions கேட்கணுமா? ஒன்னோ இல்ல ரெண்டோ question அவ்வளவுதான். அதுக்கப்புறம் we'll have a webinar. யாருக்காவது question இருக்கா? Okay. Okay. Come here. Come here.
கேளு அங்க இருந்து திரும்பி கேளு.
Yeah.
So what kind of like subject are you like studying in college so that you're like interested, so that you like apply for this program? Like what kind of, the people who are going to this program, like what kind of things are they interested in?
Yeah, in high school or in college?
High school, college.
Yeah, good question. I would say so. A lot of the kids end up going into political science, government related fields, but public policy is so broad that there's a lot of like pre-med students, like people who are interested in public health. I would say it's really all over. I think what the program is really looking for is that like the idea of public service and public policy is like your ability to have these interests but wanting to give back to other people and be interested in pursuing a career in which you're focused on welfare and being able to give back. So I would say it doesn't really matter. There's no specific interest you have to have or specific thing you're working on or specific things you're involved in. More so, are you able to pitch that in a way that proves that you care about pursuing this in the future or you care about giving back in this way? Yeah, or that you would make the most out of getting to go to a program like that.
Wait, what political career are you like interested in?
Oh, okay. I'm not totally sure. I'm still deciding. I don't know. I think about doing law or something in public service. I'm still deciding, but that's a good question.
Great, thank you. Nithila, thank you, Nithila.
Thank you so much. And she told, like people who do pre-med are also interested in political science. So I think Anish has political science also, right? You are doing it.
Yes, Auntie, that's right.
Yes.
So
And why did you choose that when your track was pre-med?
yeah, well, I do health policy research. So like Deepti mentioned, public policy is a very broad field of study. And in public policy encompasses, civil law, maybe like science policy, health policy is one of the subfields of public policy. The research I currently do at Stanford is on organ allocation policy. So it has to do with kidney and liver transplantation. There's a lot of national policy influences a lot of clinical practices. And so that's sort of what got me interested. I started off doing wet lab research. I did clinical research, and I really found my interest in policy research. So yeah, that's sort of what got me interested in health policy.
Thank you so much. And மூணு பேருக்கும் ரொம்ப நன்றி. ஐ நோ நிறைய இது வந்து ஒரு வேஸ்ட் சப்ஜெக்ட் கவர் பண்றதுக்கு, பட் வித் given time frame they all three agreed, and we have lot of resources and they are always ready to help and share. Not only these three, நமக்குள்ளே நிறைய பசங்க இருக்காங்க. ஸோ ரீச் அவுட். நீங்க காலேஜுக்கு பிளான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்கல்ல, ஹை ஸ்கூல்ல கொஸ்டின்ஸ் இருக்கு அப்படின்னா ரீச் அவுட். We will also plan for webinars. And thank you so much all three of you. We have a small memento play. Advait, நான் உங்க அம்மா கிட்ட தரேன். Anish, I will mail it to you. Okay? Thank you so much and good luck. Good luck.